Stoutsburg Sourland's African American Museum received a donation as part of the Culture and Heritage. I think it was 2019,
Oh,
to help with the expansion and upkeep of the museum. So, during this pandemic, how are you all getting the word out? Do you do virtual tours? And how can someone donate?
we have our virtual 360 tour that two young people created for us, one of them being my son. So they created a virtual 360 tour for us. And then we also have another virtual tour that is both on our website. You just go to SSAAmuseum.org and you can get a tour of the museum. You can get a tour of the Stoutsburg Cemetery, find out all these connections, and some of the information that we try to share in our book is there, so that people can see, they can hear oral histories. We have a few oral histories of some of the descendants of the people that are from the Sourland Mountain area and surrounding regions. And so you can do that. We encourage you to send in those donations. We're happy to receive them, and we will get right working on this because we are very, very passionate. But also, I do know that we are prepared to tell the story of how did we get here as enslaved African Americans, starting with Queen Anne.
It is an amazing story, and like I said before, a story that's transferable anywhere across the states. We just happen to know this story right here in this region because, as Elaine said, it was about our people. It was about our ancestors that I was amazingly able to trace back 4 generations. It was the story about New Jersey, how entrenched it was in slavery, how New Jersey was the last northern state to abolish slavery in 1804, that people don't understand, and how you would think that you have a gradual abolition act in 1804, but that had strings attached to it. There's a story behind that. So there's stories within stories of the African American narrative. And so this is what people need to know about, because if you're not going to hear about it in the school, you need to hear about it from somewhere. And we're prepared to do that.
Absolutely.
And we're also proud of the fact that the museum was the former AME church, because Richard Allen was in our area. He was in Pennington. He spent about 6 months, maybe more, in Pennington with the Bunn family, who is a white founding family of the Methodist Church in Pennington. And after Richard Allen leaves, the Bethel AME Church is formed, and then of course the sister church, which is our museum, is formed, and all of these AME started with one person. And that's what I like. One person can make a change. Richard Allen made a change. There's millions of AME people now just because of Richard Allen. And it was not easy. They did not want Richard Allen to have his own church simply because he was a Black man.
Our centennial celebration, the last one we had, I actually have a Richard Allen stamp. And so I'm holding on to it so that I can pass it on to my grandchildren. I actually have 3. Yeah. I think I have 2 stamps. So they'll just have to keep it as a collector's item. I want to talk about the book, If These Stones Could Talk. And so just tell us a little bit about the book and what we can expect to see, and where can we buy it?
Well, as Elaine said, it's the starting point of If These Stones Could Talk was because of one phone call. And you think about, we often say, we didn't just wake up one day and say, you know what, let's write a book. There was something monumental that happened, and that was it. It was that phone call, and that put everything in motion. Because when we started thinking about, we have never once given any thought to who who might be buried in the Stoutsburg Cemetery that we have been trustees of for 40 years, 30 years in some instances, never once giving a thought to what is their story? Who are these people? And how do we find out about these stories? And so one of the first things we did is we started with the military, and we started researching the military. And when you look at, you have at least 10 to 12 United States colored troops, men that were buried there in this small, relatively small cemetery. You think, okay, so when you're talking about a community of African Americans, and this number of Black men went off willingly and volunteered, to serve the Union, that's an extraordinary story right there. So, like we were saying, there's stories within stories, and before you know it, we just had an amazing amount of information to start with. We went to historical societies. We became best friends with Hunterdon County Historical Society, Somerset County Historical Society, the David Library over, in Pennsylvania.
New Jersey Archives.
The archives. People started to know, it's like, oh, here they are again, And after a while, people started to look out for information for us. And so we started with what we call the background, and then we start with the founding families, which meant the white founding families and the Black founding families. And we kind of take it from there.
Then we said, we got to figure the name of the book, and we called it If These Stones Could Talk, because a lot of the information that we need is buried in that cemetery with the older people that they knew some of the information that we need, and now they're gone. And some of this information we may never find, but I always want to point out that this is a God-inspired journey for Beverly and I. And so the latest find for us was that in Somerset County, Montgomery Township, New Jersey, 5 miles from my house here, we had Black people that voted in 1801.
Wow, see?
Yes, Ephraim Hageman,
Yes,
Thomas
he did.
Blue.
Thomas Blue.
Yeah,
Yes.
I do believe Stacy Lane was on the poll list. We
Yes.
have people connected to our cemetery.
Wow.
But you have to, this was an extraordinary find. And we worked along with the Museum for the American Revolution. And they originally contacted us with a list of names and said, can you identify any people of color on this list, because we're commemorating when women, lost the vote. And we are doing an exhibit in Philadelphia, but we understand that in 1801, before New Jersey shut it down, some 20 something years later, that there was actually African Americans and women that voted in 1801. And on that list in Montgomery was Ephraim Hageman, an African American man, and Thomas Blue, African American man, who had formerly been enslaved by the Blue family in Somerset County.
Not knowing that you were seeking and doing the right thing, and your heart was in the right place, that God blessed you to be trustees, to be part of this great, rich history right here in Somerset County, being able to write a book about it, and then working on your second book. And so what is next for SAAM or SSAAM or the Stoutsburg Sourland African American Museum?
We are really excited about some of our end of the year donations that we received for people that wanted to be founding members. Really, we are so blown away by the Somerset County Culture and Heritage grant that we were given, because that was, I do believe, one of the biggest grants that they ever gave. And so to receive $300,000 to put this work into fruition, that is so exciting for us. And we encourage people to join us in their donations. we are working on our building, but we really have to start working on our exhibit and education center.
The capital campaign, that's next, the huge capital campaign. And once that's done, Somerset County will, I'd say New Jersey will have something to be extremely proud of.
I'm just, again, excited that you all were able to join us on this morning, and that we look forward to the bigger and brighter things that's in store for SSAAM.
We have all our information on our website for making a donation. We have a donation page there. And for our book, If These Stones Could Talk, it's available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and I even found out Walmart carries our book. So we're happy about that too. If you haven't read it, you'll be surprised at all the connections that we've made with the African Americans in our community.
Well, and I'm looking forward to having my copy signed by the two of you.
We will do that.
And thank you so much for your time and sharing your story and experience with me this morning. And again, I just want everybody to know that this is not the last time that you will be hearing about SSAAM, the SSAAM, the Stoutsburg Sourland African American Museum, right here in Somerset County. So more to come. God bless you. Be well and be safe.